Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 83 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Type Ben. How you doing, BT?
Hello, I'm really good, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed. Yeah, episode 83 is coming out on Christmas Day and, well, Christmas Eve for the Patreon. So, happy Christmas Eve, Patreon crew. Merry Christmas, everybody else. And happy Boxing Day, those of you that were too busy spending time with your family on Christmas Day to be able to sneak away and do some hobby. This is the episode for that, isn't it? This is like the...
Yeah, 100%.
I'll listen to this while making Christmas dinner, while building Dungeon Bowl or the Corn Team or whatever awesome Blood Bowl goodies hopefully everyone gets for Christmas, because this is the best part of the year. Anyway, Ben, we'll talk about that nonsense in the news and hobby bit, but for now, what are we talking about on episode 83?
We're going to be having a little preview of Beachhead, which is the tournament that may or may not happen in February. We're going to also drill down into some of the recent NAF tournament rankings for the teams and kind of see where things are.
Absolutely. This does feel like a bit of a tournament-y episode because Christmas is all about getting together with loved ones and friends and family and having a good time. And to be entirely honest with you, that's a pretty good way to describe Blood Bowl tournaments as well. You get together with people you mostly like and play a game that you mostly enjoy. And I think that's a very apt way of describing most people's Christmases. And you know what? We'll take a quick break. I will check the audio for the fourth time because Ben and I have had to re-record this several times because, well, everybody, I installed an update on my computer and now I'm paying for it. And so is Ben's ears. So that's good. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with news and hobby. Okay, so news and hobby. In the world of Blood Bowl, there's really not a lot of news at the moment, but that's not to be expected because this is kind of like they've done the big, busy, hey, here's several star players, some big guys we're going to spoil, and a boxed game. So now it's going to be quiet for maybe 4 weeks. And you know what? That's okay, because we've probably got enough to catch up on. But there is one thing that we would be remiss not to mention on the podcast, and I know that a bunch of you guys have already tagged us and stuff, which is Cursed City is back.
Oh, man. You can imagine the stress, like the sweat running off the forehead of the guy who had to push the button that's published the article. Just like...
When did this article come out? When was it? 20th of December. What day was the 20th of December? Because that guy, that was his last day in the office, wasn't it? It was like, right, let's press this button
was a Sunday.
And then see you January. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone else can deal with the fallout.
We've all sent those emails. Okay, so Cursed City was a game that Games Workshop brought out that we were quite excited about on the channel because it was kind of co-op and cool and very different and a cool way to get into one of Games Workshop's newest metaverse, the Age of Sigmar realm, while actually feeling like an old school dungeon crawl. So it was like, oh, it's really cool. This is quite excited. We brewed up a little mini podcast and everything, and because they were like, we're going to support this game, it's going to be great. And then they dropped it and then basically just denied it ever existed. And that's not entirely hyperbole either. Like they genuinely were like, this is going to be a game system that we love doing, and then they kind of just stopped. And now
they just failed to acknowledge anything and tore down all of the previous references to the game existing. It was like corporate level gaslight. It was
exactly.
It was really crazy.
And they just sacked it off. They just sacked it all off. And now they're re-releasing it. And I think, did I see something about expansions as well?
They did mention expansions are in the works. Yeah.
For those of you that missed out on this first time round, this is your chance to get hands, claws on the best Citadel miniature. There were some nice models in there, to be fair.
They were nice models.
Yeah.
The game is fine.
The
models
is fine.
Are really good.
Yeah. There's probably much better ways to play a game with these tiles. For example, Dungeon Bowl now. Um, with the tiles at least, it will be accompanied by expansions, so your adventure into Ulfenkhan can grow and continue with even more dramatic twists and turns. Yeah, this is a corker. You know, last episode, right? Didn't we talk about how we're like, man, Games Workshop they're doing good work. They seem to be like in love with Blood Bowl. This is great. Like, they may actually love Blood Bowl, and I don't know. They've just this. I don't know, Ben. Would it have been better for them to just leave this game dead now, and to pretend it never happened?
I don't know. I think. I honestly don't know. I think honestly, probably, yeah. Like, especially because the game came out and the general consensus was those who weren't like already upset with how they handled it and had the game was kind of like, that's all right. And so it's kind of, there wasn't really any just like, this is the best thing, like we're really missing out because it didn't happen. Like, it wasn't, I didn't really see any of that. Like, we really needed this. Like, if it had come out and they said, yeah, we're going to support it like Blackstone Fortress, and that became like quite a big narrative thing, and that was really exciting. But now I feel like that kind of excitement has gone, and now all people are left with is looking at this game thinking like, oh, that was the game that
they didn't
like,
make a game.
Didn't happen.
They made a meme.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is like the most meme Games Workshop board game ever. And it's just such a weird year for Games Workshop. Like, this game, so exciting, and yeah, I think, like, I know we kind of assumed it was going to be as well supported as Blackstone, and Blackstone was really cool, like really cool, and we thought, wow, like a fantasy version of Blackstone Fortress would be amazing. And then obviously they just kind of just like, no, we never made a game. Like, don't worry about it.
Really, we don't make games.
Yeah, we make models. You play, you do what you like. Yeah, interesting one, but I never sold mine. I never got around to selling my copy. But basically what happened is they released it. They didn't say it was limited release. Well, it turns out it wasn't. Spoiler alert. But all the copies sold out, and then all the copies like doubled and tripled in value. Some of them were almost as much as Dark Elf dice, right? It was that kind of inflation. I mean, Ben sold his copy and put a down payment on a house back when it was like when the price was right, and now the game's back. So there's like three groups of people. There's one really innocent group that's like, oh, this is cool. I didn't get a chance to buy that first time. Like, it looks fun. There's another one that's like, oh my god, I sold my copy because I was done with it. And there's another one that's just like wrecked because they sold high or just rage quit the game. And then I guess there's like another little subgroup of people that bought the game, got excited, and then never really did anything with it. And that is me.
That's kind of me.
Yeah. That's us.
I've got my half painted box under my bed.
I know, I've got it like in the shed on the side. So it's really funny because I'm like, we went through that whole emotional, like, they've abandoned us cycle. Like, we want expansions, and I just haven't played the core game. So
yeah, I know, right?
It doesn't matter that there weren't expansions. Interesting one. Anyway, that's probably the most exciting bit of Games Workshop news out there. I mean, we try to stay a little bit close to Blood Bowl where we can, because Blood Bowl is what we do. But they did the rebalance for Blood Bowl. They did the FAQ, and then they did the same thing for Age of Sigmar as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
And they give it.
Love to answer honestly, but my leg has gone dead and it hurts.
Are you okay?
Yeah. And it's like, what you're saying is great, yeah, FAQs, whatever, but my leg is going to fall off.
Did you go for a walk? Do we need to pause
this? That's all good, I'm putting weight on it. I'm all good. It just randomly, spontaneously decided to disappear.
Amazing. Anyway, Cursed City is coming out. But the cool thing is that the tiles can be used for Dungeon Bowl. They are a bit bigger. They're 40mm tiles, and the Dungeon Bowl ones are 34mm, so they're ever so slightly bigger. The cool thing about Cursed City is that you can actually just run that as a separate dungeon with some different sized rooms. So now I don't feel quite so bad, Ben, about us exploring those tiles for use in Dungeon Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like a really good idea, because now it's not something that's like a mystery thing. How to get this?
It's not like we're using our legacy Magic the Gathering cards to play Snap with. So That's pretty cool. But anyway, it's Christmas time, so I think it's probably about time we had a little bit of a check-in. What's going on with you, Ben? How's Christmas looking? What's Christmas going to be like in Blood-Tide land? Skulls and blood everywhere, I'm assuming.
I'm proper excited. I'm seeing my sister and her fiance, and they're like my board game crew. So they live a little bit far away. When they come down, we like absolutely hammer out board games. So I've got a couple of those to look forward to. Hobby wise, I might actually keep it quite light, and I have a small break after doing all that like commission stuff. It's been like quite intense, but I've done some good hobby recently. We had the stream last week.
Yeah, that was really good.
Rebooted the streaming. Yeah, that went really well. And thank you to everyone who, one, suggested it, and two, hung out, because it was actually a really good time and made me remember why we did that in the first place. So yeah, should be doing that next week as well. So that'll be good.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gonna do that next week.
Excellent.
Yep. That's news to Ben.
yeah, I was definitely paying attention. Things have been very busy recently, so it's been fun. Now that's wicked. Board game wise, I know you've got at least one shiny new game on the go, Ben.
Yeah, I picked up Beyond the Sun, like a nice space themed Euro tech tree game, which is looks really crunchy, and I'm well excited to like give that a go. So I'm actually giving that a go tomorrow. Well, tomorrow being Christmas Eve. So yeah, that'll be proper exciting.
Christmas Eve. I cannot wait for Christmas. This last week and a half has just been insanely busy. My job, when COVID strikes, it gets really like manic. So I haven't posted videos for a few days, and I'm now way behind with like comms and stuff. So if you've sent emails or anything, I'm really sorry. I have no chance of getting to any of that until next week really now, which I don't like, because normally I can fit an hour in a day where I can catch up with stuff, do some videos or whatever, but the difficult thing is that this whole COVID thing is coming back, but it's not like, hey, this is what the situation is. So it's more of a case of like, hey, plan for all of the situations just in case. And you know what, that's it's not massively helpful, because you do have to like consider everything. So I've been supporting branches and just focusing on like just preparing for some kind of announcement from the government next week to say, hey, everything stops, stay inside. There is kind of like a pool as to when it's going to happen. Today is Thursday was one of them. Boxing Day is another good favourite. I personally think we're going to get a shout out from the government on Monday.
A shout out. Oh, and by the way, heads up to the Bonehead Podcast. If you want
you guys called it. You guys called it. Enjoy ruining Ben's day off. Actually, I've got the whole week off now, so it's not too bad. So next week is lush. So I'm in store supporting tomorrow, which is cool. I get to go to work with Tiff tomorrow, which is going to be quite entertaining. So my wife will be telling me what to do all day long. And then come sort of, well, to be fair, I'm going to finish at 4. She's working till 6:30. But at 4, I will come home, wine, start wrapping the presents that I haven't got a chance to wrap yet. And then it's going to be Christmas Day. I'm going to be cooking, relaxing, drinking more wine. Boxing Day, we're going over to see her family. Yeah. And then, to be fair, the Packers are actually playing Christmas Eve, like Christmas night. Christmas evening, 9:00 Christmas evening. So we're gonna have a really nice like family day, drink some wine, and then I get to watch the Packers play on Christmas Day. So I'm proper buzzing for this like 2 days of switch off, and then I got a whole week off. So depending on what kind of restrictions land, I want to film some videos, because we haven't been able to film the championship. It's because of my work just got absolutely crazy. And like we normally do a really good job of like just staying ahead of the curve. I'm not allowed to say curve anymore, are we? Stay ahead.
These things happen.
Huh?
These things happen.
Yeah.
These things happen. They there's busy times, busy periods. This happens to be quite a busy period before the absolute shutdown period. So yeah, we're all good. We're all good.
Let's hope it's not an absolute shutdown period, but it very well might be.
We'll work it out.
Yeah. However, what we are doing is massively looking forward to Beachhead. So this is coming out on Christmas, which means there are 7 weeks to go for what is undoubtedly our biggest tournament ever. like biggest tournament yet
Oh
anyway.
yeah.
2 days, 2 different tournaments. We've got like 80 people, I think, for the Saturday, which is 11s, and there's like 60 for the Sunday, which is 7s. And there are still tickets available. Somehow, like basically Pete and the Entoyment crew are like, guys, you go as big as you want to go. So if you're sitting there at home with some Christmas money and you're thinking, I've got 7 weeks, I can go to a tournament, do come on down, because it's just going to be just a proper weekend of Blood Bowl, and it's all about the games and hanging out. And yes, I know, and Ben said this at the beginning of the show, like there is a chance that the world stops and things happen and everything gets locked down again, but we got 7 weeks. I'm sure it will be fine.
Crossing every finger. I really want this to go ahead. 80 coaches is awesome. I want to see that in action. I want to see, 40 pitches just laid out and dice being thrown. I mean, on the table, not at each other, please. That would not be great.
I don't know. I can see both of those things kind of happening. So
Depends how loud the dice cups are.
Yeah, dice cups everywhere. So yeah, we're going to talk about Beachhead. We're going to talk about the formats, talk about how it's going to work, and then we're going to hit up the power rankings for competitive Blood Bowl for 2021. Now, we've had a whole year now of Blood Bowl 2020. So we can actually get all the stats, the 21,000 games that have been played and recorded on the NAF site, and we're going to get to grips with basically what teams are doing well and how we both feel about them, and maybe sneak a couple of predictions in for Beachhead Bowl meta and how things work out next year. Now, hobby-wise, Ben, you've kind of talked about that. I mean, I take it there's nothing big on your list for Christmas that you're looking forward to?
Not really. No, it's keeping quite light. I mean, there's a house move going on. It's kind of all my attention's focused on that at the moment. So like, sort all that out. Do little hobby bits in between. Maybe paint a little bit of 40k. Starting with Conquest as well, so I'm painting up some of that. And yeah, we'll kind of just see where it goes.
Perfect. Yeah. I will be getting some Aeronautica Imperialis. I'll be getting some Eldar planes. There's supposed to be an event on Entoyment, I think, on the 9th of January. I thought it might be a good let's get some games in for that. That could be quite fun. And then the classic parents were like, oh, what Warhammer can we get you? I was like, well, I've kind of got everything right now.
That's the thing.
How about some resin? So I'm getting, yeah, I know.
Whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, what would you like? 2 liters of resin, please. It'll keep you occupied for a little while. And I think that's probably the best gift you can get someone these days when they've got everything already that they already need. But if they don't, then I 100% recommend checking out entoyment.co.uk if you are in the market for hobby goodness. Because I have been looking on that site this week thinking, what presents could I get there? What can I pick up from Entoyment so I can swing by and grab some stuff I don't need? Because I really want the new rulebook for Mantic Armada. I will never play that game, but it's got flyers now, and I just love a rulebook. So I was like, "Ooh, what can I do? How can I get down to Entoyment?" And alas, I didn't get a chance because this week has been crazy. So yeah, I'll just go there next week. It'll be fun. Anyway, I think it's time for Beachhead. And we're back. So like I said, we are going to be talking about Beachhead, and we have got 7 weeks to go for 2 days of absolute Blood Bowl nonsense. So if you go to boneheadpodcast.com, you'll see the big banner there for Beachhead. If you click the Beachhead Bowl thing, you'll get our full rules pack. I've got the rules pack up here, but it is not the most recent one because there is one key adjustment, and I don't think I've even told Ben this, but this is a big deal. The NAF have revoked Demons of Khorne.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Makes sense, though.
Yeah, probably need to do a splash announcement of that over the weekend just to make sure that everybody knows. Because, yeah, the tournament guidelines for the NAF have been updated. They're down to just Slan now in the NAF special teams, and Demons of Khorne are no more because they are deemed to play too similarly to Games Workshop Khorne teams.
Fair. I think if you have a Khorne team and you're like a Demons of Khorne team and you kind of want to maybe been painting that up or you wanted to run it, I think you could. They're not that difficult to run as the GW Khorne team.
No,
Bloodletters can proxy as other. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, Bloodthirster is your blood spawn. And then you just got to find a way to differentiate your blood letters and heralds to represent your strength 4 blood seekers, and I'm just going to call them blood gores now, because they probably should be called blood gores. Games Workshop, let the side down, skull blood gores. So like, it is a bit of a nuisance, and I need to update the spreadsheet to remove Demons of Khorne. So if you're planning on taking Demons of Khorne to Beachhead, I'm afraid that is no longer going to be allowed. And you'll have to sub them in as, I'm going to say, proper Khorne now instead.
Yeah.
So that's Bretonians.
That is life.
Demons gone. So we're back down to 29 official teams, but semi-official teams. And you know what? I only did, when I did the monthly meta this week, that's at the weekend, like, it was only at that point I was like, ooh, cool, demons have gone. I think this is a solid move. It makes it a lot easier for, I don't want to see Slan get goned, because it's just one team now, and one team on the fringes that is one of the least played teams out there. It's not a big thing for people to let Slan be, but I think the more that it gets centralized with Games Workshop now, the better for the players, I think, getting into the game.
It does make it more accessible. It's nice that, and like, it's still not, if it was like a fully Games Workshop only, then I would be more disappointed, but the fact that we have so many good alternatives still going, still kicking, that's good. Brilliant.
Yeah, hugely so. Anyway, so Beachhead, we are running our first 2-day tournament, but Ben and I are people who have very busy lives. So when we put the Bonehead podcast together as a group of wobbleites, like from our local club, there were a couple of things we wanted to focus on, and one is to make it family friendly. So we'll very rarely, I know sometimes I accidentally drop an F-bomb in a video and I miss it on the editing, but generally speaking, we want to keep this family friendly, so you can listen to it in the car with your kids. Like, you can put it on while you're doing stuff, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be safe, because, well, and it's also really great for like your kids to start taking an interest in Blood Bowl. Like, this is what we want. Like, it's been cool to see like Richard bring his kid along, and Trips bring his kid along. It's very cool to see. And the second thing is, we want this to be accessible to people who are busy people. So the way we run our Blood Bowl League is a kind of an open format one. You can drop in. If you can only go once a month, you can still play in the league. If you can go 4 nights a month, it's fine. You can still do it. And when it comes to a 2-day tournament, we didn't want to limit people who could only make it to 1 day. Historically, when it comes to these kind of events, I could never really get away for a 2-dayer. Ben, have you ever done a 2-day tournament?
No.
No. And we wanted to make sure that actually, if you could only come on the Saturday, you can still come on the Saturday and play 11s. If you can only come on the Sunday and play 7s, you can. If you don't like 7s, you can just come Saturday. Like, you can do whatever. But we also are going to combine the overall scores as well. So essentially, there's 3 big boy trophies to win at this tournament. There's the Saturday trophy, the Sunday trophy, and then the weekend trophy. So you can come and it won't affect you if you don't come Sunday. You can still win Saturday, and likewise. But if you do come to both, then you've got a better chance of winning the whole weekend. And it's really important to us that you can play what you can play, because mini wargaming takes up a lot of time and it takes up a lot of money. But when it comes to Blood Bowl, actually the money investment doesn't have to be that big. And as far as kind of mini wargames go, Blood Bowl is the kind of one you can play casually while you've got a very busy life. And there are definitely some times where I am very grateful of that. So 2-day tournament, and what we're going to do is we're just going to talk through the format. We'll do Saturday and then we'll do Sunday. So Saturday is going to be our 11s event, and it is going to be a 3-game day. But I think we should probably mention that it's taking place at a big convention, shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's all part of the Beachhead convention, which is if you have any other interests, there'll be other war games going on. There's loads of vendors selling cool stuff. So it's a really awesome place to be. I remember last year we had Titans, which I'll always remember.
The Titans are back this year.
Are they back?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. If you want to see Adeptus Titanicus being played at 40k scale, that's quite a thing to behold. So
it's like a games day, but down south, and not just restricted to Games Workshop stuff. So, like Ben, so I'm going to say last year a lot, but last year obviously there was no. Last year this didn't happen. But back at our first Beachhead, which would have been 2020, we came along. We had a tournament. It was great. We had 40 players, but we were in this big hall, and there's two halls. One hall has got all the traders. The second hall, and this is a whole big hall. We were one of the smallest tournaments. Like there was Kings of War that was rocking like 40 to 60 people. There was 100-man. Like 40k one, 100-person AOS one. Like there was just tournaments galore. So it's like a really cool event with all, like you said, Ben, all the traders and everything, and a whole bunch of other tournaments. Our friends at Maximal Fire, I think they're running an Adeptus Titanicus 2-dayer.
Nice.
Like there's just a whole bunch of cool stuff going on. So, and it's being run by Entoyment. Now we work really closely with Entoyment because we just like the way they do stuff. And they like the way we do stuff. So we get to help them with stuff like this. And Beachhead is this massive convention that is now becoming one of the biggest ones in miniature wargaming, I think, in the UK. So that's pretty awesome. So the way the tickets work, they're all being sold through Entoyment because it is a Beachhead event ticket instead of being sold through us. So it's on the Entoyment website, and basically it gets access to the entire show, so you can wander around and do stuff. How it's going to work on the day is 10 o'clock. Come play Blood Bowl. There's a bit of a break for lunch as well. It is difficult to get 3 games of Blood Bowl in while there is a show going on, but if you take all 2 hours 15 for each of your games, you may not have enough time to go around, but you should be fine.
Yeah, like last time it was on, most people got a chance to look around.
Yeah, I mean, if you finish your first game in under 2 hours, you'll have 45 minutes, an hour to go around and look at all the show and everything. And if you play both days, you'll have plenty of time. Anyway, so yeah, 3 rounds, 11s format, and we've kept it quite simple from a format point of view. And this is what I'm going to pester Ben with some questions. So the team build is going to be 1100, so 1.1 million, up to 2-star players, all the star players allowed from the rules, including Acorn, now that Acorns are listed in Spike 13, and standard kind of no inducements, with the exception of a giant mercenary from Death Zone. Now, there's 2 reasons that we added that in. One is because, no, there's 3 reasons, I guess. One is because giants are awesome. 2 is that we've had plenty of time and games to playtest them, and they're not broken. They are a lot of fun, but they're not broken. They're not bad for the game. So, actually, there's no reason to not include them. And Beachhead is set in Albion, and Albion is all about the giants. So you have giants. The Khorne team is now allowed. The Demons of Khorne team are now not eligible. And we have adjusted this to have the new tierings with humans, orcs, and OWA going down to tier 2, and Underworld. What was the other one that went up? Oh, High Elves. I've got up to tier 1. So we've updated the rules for that. So skills wise, it is 5 primary skills for tier 1, 4 primary and 2 secondary for tier 2, and 5 primary and 2 secondary for tier 3. So 5 skills for tier 1 all the way down to 7 skills for tier 3. So it's actually quite a tight package. No one can get more than 1 skill. Primary skills can be selected instead of secondaries if you want. Star players can't be given skills. So Ben, 1.1 million build, 5 skills for tier 1, 5 and 2 for tier 3. What would you be running if you weren't TOing?
I think we've definitely said this before on the podcast, but I love running a tier 2 team. I think having access like some secondary, and here having 2 secondary is pretty great. So like I'd probably run a tier 2. I'd be tempted to take nobility again. I did run them in a tournament previously, and I do quite like taking different things. Maybe I think it depends on how much hobby time I had in advance, because
you only need one Friday night.
Sorry,
you only need one Friday night to get a team ready for a tournament.
Very true. Yeah. I'd be tempted to try Nurgle in a tournament environment, to be honest.
Ooh, interesting.
They've been doing fairly well recently.
Yeah, but like, you know why?
Yeah, but Nurgle, hack phlegm the less Nurgle. Yeah.
Okay, 2 primary skills is pretty good for that. I mean, I would I'd be really hard pressed not to run some kind of acorn corn team.
That would be so sick.
I don't think it would be very good at all. But I don't know. It just seems like quite a funny one to do. Although there are some rosters are coming in already, which is cool. Appreciate that massively. But I've seen a couple of people banding around ideas for a giant roster.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
that's
the stunty teams. You can 350. He's basically, instead of Morg, you run a giant.
Yeah.
Especially as Morg's just gone up in price. So
they're not that bad. Like, they're pretty good.
I mean, they're not, they're not broken by any means, but they're a lot of fun. So I think you could do a cool ogre build with a giant. I think that'd be quite good. That'd be quite good fun. You get some serious bash and fouling on the go. Maybe, we've seen on the show, haven't we, how good Snotlings can be with the giant. So,
100%, yeah.
I like that. I do like that a lot. So yeah, we've got 3 games on day 1. There are going to be a ton of prizes. We've got some friends of the show who are very generous. Agribo sorted us out some stuff. Norba are going to try as well. We've got a bunch of prize support from Entoyment, so there will be plenty of Games Workshop goodies kicking around as well. So it's going to be a really good day. On the Saturday, there will be the Beachhead Bowl champion, the Beachhead Bowl Stunty Cup, the Best Team Award, and this time we're going to make sure it's very clear that if you want to be in the running for the Best Team Award, and that is Best Team of the Eyes of the Beholder, so it's not best painted, it's not the most thematic, it's you go around and you have a look at the teams that are out at lunchtime, and if you like the look of the team, or you think it's cool, or you think what they've done is clever, or actually it's clearly this kid's first team and you want to cast a vote to say great job, that's what Best Team is there for. It's up to you what it means. And then, of course, the participation trophy, the least tournament points, the most touchdowns, most casualties, the most touchdowns allowed, the wrong game award, and the chocolate armor award, the most casualties suffered. We end up always, generally speaking, getting a sponsor or something for the most fouls as well, the dirty player award. So I'm sure we can. I might have a word with Duncan, see if we can get some foul appreciation patches as some prizes for the dirty player award.
Oh, that'd be good
as well. But we've got plenty of goodies for that one. So that will be the Saturday day. Now, when it comes to Sunday is sevens. So this one's going to be 4 games of sevens. Normally on a full tournament day, you'd have 5 or 6 games of sevens. This is the one where we are very aware. I think there's a reasonable chance Ben and I might be a bit hungover. As it stands, the plan is for us to grab a hotel room down there in Bournemouth as well. We're waiting to find out and make sure everything's going ahead and everything. And we'll book up that so we can go kind of have dinner with whoever's around or whatever, and just have some beers and
Bonehead social.
Yeah, it should be really good fun. And then, which we'll put out in the Discord and on the Patreon and everywhere when we can find out what we're going to do on that night. So to kind of pay attention to middle of January. I'll have a chat with Pete. I'll pop over and join him for lunch and have a cup of tea and find out what's what. But yeah, sevens on the Sunday is going to be 4 rounds, so a little bit more chilled. 10 o'clock registration again, first game 10:15, and then we've got about an hour and 15 for each match. So 10:15, then 11:30 for match 2, then a lunch break, then 1:15, then 2:15, then 3:30. So there's that little extra time. I mean, Ben, you've played plenty of sevens as well. How often does it go above sort of 45 minutes for a sevens game?
I mean, rarely. I think if you had 2 dwarf teams playing against each other, possibly. Yeah.
I think this is the cool thing, and we put it down to 4 rounds instead of 5 on the Sunday, because if you're coming all weekend, actually 3 games of 11 should give you enough time to have a mooch around and see what's what on the show. But the Sunday, you will definitely get 15 minutes here, half an hour there, to be able to go and really just pick up anything you wanted to grab while you're there, because it is a big shopping trip and a big showboat trip. Limited spaces, 48 coaches. That went quickly. That went very quickly. Right, let's have a look at the format for the sevens. Where did I put that? Obviously it's sevens, so no star players. Tier 1, 2 primaries. Tier 2, 2 primaries at a secondary. And Tier 3, 2 and 2. So quite a lot of skills for Tier 3 and sevens. Again, no more than one skill. You can take a primary instead of a secondary. Star players cannot be taken. We're using the same tiers for both, and it's going to be 0 to 4 positionals as it always is with sevens. So we kind of gone with some, I don't know, Ben, would you say they were quite gentle construction rules for both these tournaments?
Yeah, it's nothing that's going to like. We've seen other examples where you really have to do some crunching to kind of decipher what it means. I think this one seems pretty straightforward. I don't think there's anything too too complex to worry about here.
No, it's there's kind of now we love like some fun nonsense rule set. The first time we did Beachhead, we had the Fen Beast in there, which was an extra big guy that you could run. But actually, even though this game is now a year old at least, realistically, everybody only kind of started playing in July, and you may not have only got to like 1 or 2 tournaments, maybe at most. I mean, we've been quite lucky, Ben, but we still haven't got to as many as we wanted to. But we've only done like 4 or 5 or something. Actually, we wanted it to be a gentle start. So actually, if this is your first Blood Bowl tournament, and it is going to be a heck of a day if it is going to be your first Blood Bowl tournament, it's not too bad. And I mean, Ben and I have talked about this before, but this skill level at 1100 is pretty close to where you're going to be game 5 in your league, and it's kind of a really good way to get that league feel. So if you're like, maybe I want to run nobility in that league, well, you bring this tournament roster, and actually that's going to give you a really good idea of what skills are good, what's good at 1100, what you can afford at 1100, and kind of where your team's going to go and whether you're going to like it or not. So when Blood Tithe goes, you know what, I'd like to take Nurgle, but with no good stuff, he can play it for 3 games and realise that dedicating 4 months of his life to it in a league might not be what he particularly wants to do.
Yeah, that could happen.
Oh, you do have a really lovely Nurgle team though, don't you?
Well, I've got a really lovely Nurgle player. I haven't painted the rest.
I was going to say, yeah, but you picked up the team from Grebo.
Yeah, that was 3 years ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, I can see you wearing your Corn Christmas jumper. So I was
absolutely.
I was hoping you were going to say I'm running Corn.
I know. It was more just. I don't know. It's. Yeah, I'm still unsure. The thing is I'm not sure I can get painted by then. So it might have to be nobility again, just because I can rely on them. Skaven are pretty close. Could maybe try and run Skaven. See how that goes.
Yeah, we'll come to Skaven in the next topic when we talk about like how well they're doing, because you don't see them quite frequently. I love Skaven, and I think we'll see next year a bit more of a switch back to Skaven. Because I really, really, really do rate them. Now, when it comes to sevens, we'll have very similar amounts of prizes. In fact, it will be the same, but just for sevens. And there will be a weekend overall winner section as well for the weekend champion and the weekend Stunty Cup champion. So if you play both days, your points will get added up together. And Stunty teams are tier 3 teams only. There's no special cases, I'm afraid. No Black Orcs without Black Orcs. None of that. Just only a tier 3 teams to make it nice and simple for this one here. Match scoring, we're going to use the same we've used for, I don't know, the last 6 or 7 of our tournaments now. 30 points for a win, 20 points for a draw, and no points for a loss. Plus 1 point for up to 3 touchdowns and up to 3 casualties in each game, and plus 1 point for perfect defense. So if you do not let any touchdowns allowed, we introduced that after a couple of tournaments to give like Nurgle, Khemri, Dwarves, those teams a bit of an edge. Like they may not be able to win 3-0, but if they win 2-0, they still get 3 tournament points. It's a good way to kind of still support that element of it. And on the Sunday, it's going to be 20 points for a win for sevens. So you need to win out because draws score you extra points. And that is, in a nutshell, how both of those days are going to work. We didn't go for crazy rules this time. We didn't go for wizards. We didn't go for giants. We will do in the future. And if you're in the market for wizards, the Dorset Dungeon Bowl is going to be coming up on the 7th of May. So if you are after wizards and Dungeon Bowl stuff, Ben and I will be hosting what I'm hoping is going to be the biggest Dungeon Bowl event down south, which is going to be actually at Entoyment.
Yeah.
And that will be a ton of fun. So we wanted to talk through Beachhead. We wanted to get out the word, just say, look, if you are planning on coming, if you really are up for coming to a tournament, there's 2 days. Come to one of them. The format is quite simple. So if you're super gamey, you should be able to matrix your way to a pretty decent win. If you're just starting out, tournaments, especially these kind of tournaments where then there's no crunchy rules, we haven't got special weather tables, and there's no like massively difficult, this is a great way to get, it's more of a game day. It's a great way to get some reps in playing Blood Bowl, and you are literally surrounded by hobby goodness and a bunch of people who've played the game as well. So if you want to learn Blood Bowl, learn the basics by all means. Watch the Bonehead Championship. You'll learn what to do and what not to do. And then come along. Play some games with some like-minded people. I mean, Ben, when you started coming to Blood Bowl tournaments, I mean, it's a cool environment, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. It's one of the best things. Just a whole bunch of people, like-minded people, playing a game. And it's good fun. It's not really all the tournaments we've run. It's never really, we've never had any issues between people. I know that's a concern for a lot of people, and that's very fair.
It was for me, yeah.
We've never had that. Everyone's always been a delight. So
well,
it'd be good to see you.
I went to my first NAF tournament, and it was up in Birmingham. And I was like, all the other tournaments that I've been to and run before were not NAF standard, because they were like extra fun ones with like Stunty Cup rules or fumble rules, or just didn't know what the NAF was, you know. So we used to run like tournaments and stuff. And then the first NAF one, I was like, oh, because I was kind of come from like a Friday Night Magic competitive scene. And I was like, this is going to be brutal. So I took Ogres, because I was just like, I'm not even going to play to win. I'm just going to play to have fun. And it was like, there was hardly anybody that was particularly gamey. My first game was against Wood Elves, and I was like, oh, here we go. I'm being tournament played against Wood Elves. And this was back when everybody was allowed to throw the ball. And I nearly pitch cleared him. Like, I was like, oh, this is all right. This is all right. And actually, the rest of the day was just, it was just brilliant, because you go along and you've got a team. Everybody will ask what you're running and why. And it's perfectly acceptable to be like, well, I've played this team a bunch of times and this is what I've put together because I like it. Or, I don't know, saw this, thought this might be fun. Like, the best thing you can do sometimes is being like, dude, why have you got wrestle on a goblin? And you can be like, because it's awesome, because this is my plan. Like, I mean, Ben, Gary, probably one of the Bonehead heroes, you know, took a catch ghoul with scroll to the last tournament, and I was like, Gary, what are you running? He's like, my whole goal this tournament is to pull off the scroll long bomb catch, and he nearly did it. And like, that's another really cool thing, is like, actually, if you really just want to go and do one crazy thing, that's awesome, and everyone will love it. No one's going to be like, why are you doing that? They might say, hey, actually, not the best skill for this one. Block probably is better. I know it's boring, but block might be better than tackle on your ogre. But you know what? Sometimes tackle on ogre is excellent.
Pays off.
Yeah, man. Lee Garner ran that one of ours as well.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's good to go for the try the things that you normally wouldn't try. And I think that's the tournament's a good environment for that. And if you win, you'd feel even better for it. Yeah. So I think I think just do what you want to do, have some fun. No one's going to be mad at you. It's all good.
And we get to come around and pester you and find out just what you're planning as well. Now, if you are going to come to Beachhead Bowl and you're not sure what team to take, let's have a look and see which teams did so good or not so good in the entire last year of Blood Bowl. Okay, so we've had a whole year asterisk of playing Blood Bowl 2020 from a competitive format, a constructed format. Now, you guys will probably have heard of the NAF. We've talked about the NAF probably every week. It's basically a player association that records games. So you can geek out, look at your stats and look at other people's stats and look at win rates of teams, which is definitely fun. And you often get cool dice instead as well, which is always nice. Now, we've put together some power rankings based on tournament results for this entire year. Now, Ben and I did point out that actually the world kind of only opened up in, what was it, July, Ben? Something like that?
Yeah, somewhere in summer.
Yeah, so it's not exactly the entire year, but there's still over 2,000 or 2,000 or 20,000 games have been played. I think it's 21,000 games recorded on the NAF thing now.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah, equals some H to H. Okay, let's figure this out. Let's do that. 21,658 minutes for that. So that's a ton of games. So we've got a good opportunity now where we can have a look and see which teams have done well and which teams have not done so well. Now, I think, Ben, you and I have done this kind of thing a couple of times now, but it'll be really good to just finish. This is the end of the year. So we'll start at the bottom and we'll work our way up. And Ben and I were talking before, there are going to be teams that have the same percentage. So we're not going to break the win percentage down by, 52.19%. We're not going to do it like that. We're going to do it as 52%, but we're going to give the tiebreakers in order of the amount of games played. So if a bunch of teams are at 50%, the ones that have played more games that still achieve 50% are going to be better ranked in our power rankings. Because if you play 100 games with a team and you win a load of them, but it could just be, there's more chance of that being fluky. If a team plays 2,000 games and ends up with a solid win percentage of 55, you could probably say it's something about the team. And there are some interesting stats here, with some teams having played well over 1,000 games and some teams played barely 300. So we will begin. And BT, I want your analysis as we go as to
all right,
what we could do better with these teams. Right, let's pop the first one live. So we're starting at the bottom, Ben, and we are looking at 22 through 29. So 29 is goblins. So we did a podcast about this, didn't we, Ben?
Sure did.
About how to fix goblins. Goblins sitting there at 38%, and they do have access to hack phlegm. I mean, what was our takeaway when we talked about goblins and how they're kind of performing poorly?
Just lacking star players, lacking secret weapons. Oh, no, well, not secret weapons, but it's pretty much just like, well, they're lacking the things that goblins need to really give them the boost. So, hack phlegm doesn't do too much in a goblin team as opposed to, Ripper or someone like that, like bringing the muscle that goblins need, or like, Fungus the Loon, your classic cheap star players that really, really make goblins accessible.
That is bang on the money. I think they've actually gone up in win percentage. I think last time we checked in, they were sitting at like 35% and having a terrible, terrible time.
Yeah, I think it's a little increase.
Now they're just having a
nearing the 40s, which is healthier.
Yeah, I know. Come on, you can just get to 40% goblins. So goblins at the very bottom of the list there, 700 games played, 38%. Not doing brilliantly. Now the next one I'm pretty surprised by. So coming in at number 28 is the Black Orc team. 1,100 games played, 44% win rate. The second lowest win rate in the league in competitive.
I'm so surprised by this.
Blood Bowl. I mean, Black Orcs aren't that bad, are they, Ben?
No, like I really rate Black Orcs, but I mean, maybe they're just missing something here.
I mean, 1,100, you struggle to get a star. Like, their core team is it's not cheap, I guess. But they don't really need it. I mean, they can't take hack phlegm because they're Badlands Brawl, aren't they? So it's not. They don't have access to. Maybe that's it. They don't have access to any kind of edge player. Like, the best they've got is goblins. They don't have Scrapper Sorehead. They don't have hack phlegm. I mean, they're a solid team though. I was really surprised when I ran the numbers and I was like, dude, 28%. I should say that these are from the tableau that we use for monthly meta, which is from the NAF that Mike Davies puts together. So I'll put the link in the show notes below, but I mean, Mike does a great job of putting the data together in a way that you can go and see it, and it's always cool to have a look at. But the games are basically a collection of everything that's played and entered by the NAF. So Black Orc sitting at 28%. Okay, we've got a slight tie here. We've got 26 and 27, Chaos Chosen and Old World Alliance. Old World Alliance only having played 350 games, and Chaos Chosen having played 750 games, 45% win rate. How do you feel about those teams?
So I would just say Black Hawks are 44%. I think you said 28, just the number 28. It was 44% in win rate.
Yeah, 44%. So just, better than Goblins, but worse than literally everybody else. I mean,
yeah.
They've played a ton of games too. And this is kind of where the more games you play, the kind of more of a consistency you get. But they are a starter box team. Is it just that there's a whole bunch of players that are starting out in Blood Bowl that are taking Black Hawks and doing okay with them? I mean, 44%, it's not bad. You're almost winning every other game. If you played 100 games, you'd end up losing 12 more than you'd win. Like you'd end up with a 56-44 record. Like,
it's still not great though. For like all these like 40s. It's not brilliant.
So OWA 350 games at 45% win rate, and Chaos Chosen at 45%. I mean, OWA now they're getting the boost from tier 1 to tier 2. I mean, Ben, we looked at Beachhead today. That was going to give them basically a skill and a half extra, a double and a half extra. Do you think that's going to help boost OWA up?
I think it absolutely will. We've seen OWA do pretty good. I mean, the fact they're tier 1 to begin with, maybe just a misprint, but maybe it was an indication that they can be quite good. I think they do need it though, because the players are really lacking in crucial skills that they should have.
And they're penalised.
So it would definitely give them a bit of an advantage.
And they're penalised by having like loner and animosity, and every bad skill you can put on a team, they've got it. Chaos Chosen, however, they've got no negative skills, but they don't have any of the basic skills required. I mean, do you think that we're seeing a lot of, like our tournaments, kind of low TV, low skill package games in the beginning of this format, and that might be hurting Chaos?
I think possibly, yeah. Like they need Chaos, one of those teams that becomes like unstoppable once they get going, but those early sort of TV values can be really brutal for them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Humans, who have also recently been boosted from tier 1 down to tier 2. I say boosted, it sounds like they're getting demoted, but actually it just gives them extra skills. Coming in at 25th place on our power rankings with 46% win rate and 1,200 games recorded for Humans. I mean, you and I had a chat about the tier adjustments, and I think it came from a place of they're not performing as well as Games Workshop want them to. They're not recording enough games as Games Workshop. But 1,200 games that's more than Chaos Chosen and Old World Alliance put together, Ben. 46%.
Yeah, I mean that's
No, I was just going to say 46% win rate for the Humans there, and I mean I thought in this edition they got better.
I thought they did too. I mean, in our top 5 teams, Humans were right up there for me.
Yeah.
I thought they'd be really promising. They have speed, they have bash, they have really good thrower that you can actually take advantage of this new passing meta or passing change. Not really a passing meta.
There's 3 teams that can pass, and that's the meta. They even got
I thought they'd be doing really solid, but maybe, and this is a good sample size, so that seems pretty reliable. 46% isn't too great. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not really out there. I mean, it seems pretty balanced, but yeah, maybe tier 2 will help, push them just that little bit up to get more into the 50% mark.
If we did this again, like, because we did the like how we think it's going to shape up at the beginning, would you have put, where in the list would you have put Humans? Like, in the bottom 10? No, it's just really surprising, isn't it?
Absolutely not. Yeah,
I do love that. So we could be seeing a bit of a progression here from Humans in the future, and I do like the look of that. Right, got a few boys at 47%. Vampires at 24 with 400 games played. Number 23, Nurgle with 500 games played. That's where Ben's going to be next year. And then this is where I will be next year. 22. Snotlings, 700 games played with Snotlings and hitting 47%. That's an interesting bunch. So I think all those teams are teams that you would describe as needing stuff, right? Like,
I don't know if Snotlings need anything.
Oh, they're a stunty team. The thing they need without Hackflem, without Hackflem, they are not like they would. I don't know, man. I mean, without Hackflem, Snotlings versus. You know what? We can do this. Snotlings versus Black Orcs. Who comes out on top there?
Yeah, that's fair.
Snotlings versus Old World Alliance. Snotlings versus Chaos Chosen. Snotlings versus humans. Like, let's not go crazy, but maybe 5% win rate due to Hackflem.
So what you're saying is Snotlings need Hackflem.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha.
I think these teams, like, if you play them on their own, vampires, they struggle. They need a lot of pro to make them work. Nurgle.
Cheney helps vampires.
Oh, yeah, that's a great shout,
I
actually.
remember going up against a vampire Cheney roster with pro, like you say, and that is really powerful.
Yeah, but they kind of they need stuff to get working. That's the thing that's probably most surprising to me about humans is they don't need anything. They should have everything they need. But, you know, Nurgle can get Hackflem for that edge boost. Vamps need some skills. Snotlings need Hackflem to kind of compete. And they all do. And they all fit in that solid kind of tier 2 range for me. Nurgle, Vamps, Snotlings, tier 2, tier 3, bottom of tier 2, top of tier 3. That feels about right to me. So 47% with those guys, you know, sitting at 22, 23, and 24. I don't know, Ben, that feels about right to me. What do you reckon to that?
Yeah, it seems where I'd put them, and I would have put them in the past. Yeah, it's kind of where they want to sit.
Maybe that's what we should have done, is like dug up our old lists and gone through it. So, no, maybe not. Let's save the shame. Right, that's the bottom of the table. We're going to bounce up now to the middle table. 21, we have Demons of Khorne, 300 games played and a 48% win rate. That team is now gone and deaded, deleted. So, Ben,
did you miss out one there?
Did I?
I think we've got a halfling below that, right?
Have I missed halflings off the list? Oh, I have missed halflings. Oh no, they're just above. I might have shifted the list around a little bit then.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, I might have. That might be a slightly different data set actually. Yeah, interesting. Oh no. Okay. That is an interesting element of the way the sheet is put together. So we'll ignore the sheet. For now. I've got 21 demons, 20 Skaven, 19 halflings, all sitting at 48% on the tableau. I think, Ben, where I put the tiebreaker in as a number of games, those teams that have done 1,000 are kind of getting an extra percentage win rate on the power ranking.
Okay, gotcha.
Which potentially shouldn't be how it is. So Demons of Khorne, 48% win rate. Okay, 300 games played, not a huge amount of games. We did have a little split on our power ranking sheet of ratio, and that is if you go to a 100-team tournament, 3 of them will be Khorne. That's not too bad, I suppose. So, you know, 1 in every 35 teams could be Demons of Khorne, and we've had a couple at our tournaments, haven't we? So
yeah,
that's probably about right as a ratio. Where do you see new Khorne coming in? Because Demons are gone. New Khorne are going to be coming in. If these guys are sort of 21...
I'm not sure. I think I genuinely think overall the team's a little bit weaker than it used to be.
The new Khorne team?
Yeah, I think there are some regards where it's stronger. Obviously, you got strength 4 pieces now. But that Bloodthirster was really good in tournaments. Like, that would just, like... You give him Mighty Blow with the old Claw, because, I mean, that's changed. Like, yeah, so maybe... I don't know. Yeah, I think...
That's a good shout.
Giving Bloodthirster Juggernaut as well was actually really good. Yeah, no, it was...
The BT started with Jugs, so you're right. In a tournament setting, you could just straight up give him any skill you wanted, and that's the beautiful thing about...
I think he did start with Juggernaut. Did he not start? No, I think you had to give him Juggernaut. I think that was usually my first skill on him. Don't think he had it.
Well, you know what, Ben? It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's true. He's dead.
But you could, you know, tier 2 team, you're going to have probably at least one secondary skill. So when it comes to constructed Blood Bowl, you can just give these guys whatever you want. Like from a league point of view, you have to save up for months to get a double skill on one of your big guys. When it comes to a competitive format, you're right. The Bloodthirster with a double skill that you can just give him was better than anything else in the game. Even if you just went with like Pro, he already had so much gear that he was good to go. Now the Bloodspawn is not bad, like not a slouch, but it just doesn't feel as powerful. And I think it's just the lack of horns and just him being an absolute tank. But Demons of Khorne, gone, stricken from the record. I cannot wait to see where the new team lands. We had Halflings and Skaven next at 48% win rate. Halflings having 1,000 matches and Skaven having 900. What do you feel about Halflings landing a little bit above Skaven there, Ben?
The world we're living in right now. Skaven were another top team, I thought, going into this new season. I mean, they always were. But even I thought they weren't going to lose that much. But being under half win rate is under 50%. That's
crazy, man.
Really surprising.
Humans, all right, fine. You know what? Humans don't have the edge or the speed of Skaven, but they've got everything. They've got one of the best throwers in the game, and they've got good blockers. They've got a big guy potential. They've got their speed. Skaven have got just the best. Gutter runners are amazing. They've got a thrower that's awesome. Like they've got a bit of everything. They would what I'd say are like complete teams. Chaos Chosen, they're not a complete team because you don't have a ball handler. You have to build one. Same with vampires. Kind of same with a lot of these teams. But Skaven and humans, they have role pieces in there. 20 for Skaven at 48% win rate. I mean, what impact do you think Underworld's popularity and power is having on Skaven players?
Maybe it's just Skaven's too vanilla when you have a more exotic flavor to pick from. I think that could be it. But Underworld having the Snotlings is a huge upgrade. So I think you kind of play Underworld like a Skaven team just with more toys.
Yeah.
So
it's. And you know what? If I went to a tournament and I had to take Skaven or Underworld, I would take Underworld because they're vanilla. They're less vanilla. Skaven never used to be vanilla, but compared to Underworld, like used to give up stuff to play Underworld instead of Skaven. Now you don't, do you? It's just like you can have it as well. Halflings 48% win rate. 1,000 games. I mean, how much of an impact do you think the star players are having on that?
I think quite a lot. Like, I mean, that's the Halfling game plan, really, isn't it? You got your Deep Roots, you get your Morgs, things like that. I reckon there's some impact, but I think I love seeing like the 1,000 games of Halflings. That's the style I'm interested in here.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, next up on the power rankings that I have put together, instead of the ones on the spreadsheet, because at some point I changed them ever so slightly. 18, I've got Nobility, Ben. 550 games, 49% win rate. Also at 49% win rate, Ogres, 700 games, and Lizardmen at 49% with 1,100 games of Lizards. Lizardmen 49%, Ogres 49%, and Nobility 49%. Any big sort of shockers out of those three?
Lizards surprised me a lot. I would have thought Lizards would be good doing sort of top 5. That's usually where they like to sit around. I mean, maybe the fact that Black Orcs being really far down is kind of a indicative of this kind of meta that we've got. And then we've got like Chaos Chosen down there. We've got Nurgle down there. Kind of these strength 4 teams that seem to be actually having a tough time against some of the edge that we get up at the top.
The breakaway teams, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm surprised by Lizardmen, but maybe when you sort of look at the data and the breakdown, it's less surprising. I think Nobility and Ogres are actually higher than I thought they would be, but Nobility's kind of bang on where I think it.
Ogres represent. They've actually dropped a percentage in the last month and a half.
Oh, so they used to be 50?
They were slap on 50% for a good couple of months there. Now they are massively influenced by having Griff. Like the Griff Ogrewold build is just so good. You can get 3 or 4 ogres depending on the tournament size. all the Noblars you can need, and then a movement 9, basically movement 10, strength 4, Edge 2+ piece in Griff. The third most egregious star player, but he is at least 280k. So he was basically all in, and when you got Griff gone, it really didn't leave much of a team left over. I'm well chuffed with Nobility at 49%. I consider them an incomplete team because they don't come with that sure hands piece. They don't have that inherent edge like boost. But man, they
come with a solid skill package to begin with, and then topping it up with just what you need, I think does make them a really interesting tournament team.
Yeah, I mean they won our last tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
they won Bombvember. Griff Overworld Nobility roster went 3-0 and took the day. Ogre's doing really well. Lizardman, yeah, I'm with you on this one, Ben. Like Lizards, Skaven, and Humans are really potent league teams because they've got the whole package. I'm just surprised that they're not doing slightly better in tournaments, and I think that's not going to get better because at 15 I've got Dark Elves, Ben, with a 50% win rate and 900 games, and 14 I've got Orcs, 50% and 1100 games.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Elves are also way up there, and teams we thought would be doing well, but here they are sitting right in the middle. Maybe the passing has impacted that. Maybe people are still getting familiar with the new kind of Dark Elf playstyle. I'm still surprised though, because every time I've been up against Dark Elves in 2020, it's always been a real uphill fight. There was one game with Nobility against Dark Elves, which was very much Nobility's favor. Just the pitch control, they couldn't outpass it. So.
Yeah. Edge 2+ is great unless you are having to run through all those tackle zones, and fend, stand firm means you can just gum up the ground really easy. Like Dark Elves play a brilliant screen and rush game, but if you do not allow them to take anything better than a 3 or 4+ dodge, those teams do not have a lot of rerolls. So you pen them in when they have to roll some bad dice, and Nobility are superb at making other teams roll dice. I mean, we've seen that from the Bonehead Championship. You can stack them in such a way where your opponent's got no choice but to roll aggravating die rolls, and it puts them in a solid place. So Orcs at 50%, Dark Elves 50%, sitting at 14-15, which is basically 15% through our power ranking, 50% through our power ranking. So
very healthy spots to be in for a competitive stat. Yeah,
I mean, all these teams here, 48% for Skaven at 20 and 50% at 14. It's still pretty packed together. Now, what do we got next? So that's the middle table. Now we're going to be moving up to a joint 10th place spot, which I hope is represented. I think we're getting back to it now. Yep. So joint 10th place. So with this slight edge going, number 10 to Necromantic, 51%, 1,000 games. 11th place Norse, 900 games, 51%. 12th place Elf Union, 400 games, 51%. And Slan, the only unofficial team left in Blood Bowl. Come on, Slan, represent 300 games, 51%. And I'm going to do another shout out to Gary, because 4 of those games are his. So nicely done.
I'm really surprised by the number of games in Elf Union.
It's nothing, is it, Ben?
Like it's what, 70 more than Slan? Like that is really surprising, because you feel like you see elves a lot. Like there's not usually. They feel like a more well represented team, but
now Ben is right. It's 74
Yeah.
games more Elf Union than Slan. I've rounded these numbers up to save my sanity, but yeah, I am massively surprised by that. I mean, what do you think is playing into that?
I think maybe it's a combo of what we were saying with Skaven and Underworld. You just have more like interesting choices to take there. Like, I mean, you can run an Elf Union team as a high elf team without much effort at all. And high elves, we'll see, are doing really well, but also the game's numbers disparity, and that isn't too much different. So I don't know what it is. maybe just elves aren't interesting. They're not the right flavor of the year.
And that's it. I wonder if that element there is that because they are similar in archetype to high elves and kind of wood elves in this kind of era, but still when
And humans to an extent, to be honest.
it's a weird one. Not what I expect. Slan 300 games at 51%. I think that's awesome. I mean, I love Slan. They're a very different team. They're not powerhouse at all. They can combo really well, but they can combo very badly. Like, I mean, went around them in league for was that? Oh, that would have been Blood Bowl 16, wouldn't it? On Fumble. Yeah, because I went 4-0 and then drew one game and then lost 4 more. That's kind of where Slan are. If your team starts hurting, their ability to throw has hurt them a little bit, but actually they're still a solid team. Elven Union should be performing really well, but they are really fragile. Norse are a very solid team, and Necro. I mean, these teams here are all. They're not. Norse are tier 1, and Necro, Elf Union, and Slan are all tier 2. But they in power level, Ben. Is there any outlier here in these teams between Necro, Norse, Elf Union, and Slan?
Don't think so. Like, this is where I'd kind of imagine to be. Necro, I would usually associate with a bit higher. But I think otherwise, this is, if you say put these teams on a grid, I'd probably put them around here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Now we move on to 5th place, which is another basically 5-way tie. So joint 5th place power rankings, number 5, Undead, 1,200 games, 52%. Tomb Kings, 700 games, 52%. Amazons, 550 games, 52%. Renegades at number 8, which is awesome. 500 games, 52%. And Wood Elves, 9th place, 450 games, 52%. Is that lining up with the sheet now? Yes, it is. All right, good stuff. Yeah. All right. Undead, 1,200 games. Tomb King, 700 games. So that's nearly 2,000 games we're playing using those two Undead teams. And winning slightly more than losing. I mean, Ben, Undead, Tomb Kings, Amazons, Renegades, Wood Elves. Would you have put all of those in the top 10?
Yeah, I think I actually would. Yeah, I think we know them to be solid. Renegades would probably be the least likely to be there.
No,
but we've seen Renegades doing
Kings.
really, really well.
I was proper surprised at Tomb Kings being in the top 10. Yeah,
I've been thinking Tomb Kings are super good lately.
I think you're right. I mean, this is the kind of bit where the amount of games really kind of puts into it. So that's 700 games for Tomb Kings. Like that's not a small amount. Like Tomb Kings, 365 wins out of that. Amazon's 292 wins. Renegades 250. Tomb Kings have won more games than Wood Elves, and they've played more games than Wood Elves. Would it be fair, therefore, to say that Tomb Kings are a better team than Wood Elves?
Could be. Man, they really changed it up with the passing, didn't they?
Yeah. When you can't pass, the teams that don't want to win.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. On my original list, Undead, Amazons, Wood Elves, absolutely had them in the top 10. Tomb Kings, Renegades, I put in the 10 to 20 range, like the tier 2 kind of zone. I would probably have personally put Norse higher. Okay. Do you know what? Swap Norse and Tomb Kings for me, and I'd feel probably a bit better about that. But I think it's awesome. I mean, what's the secret there? Is it access to Wilhelm Chaney? Because he's not an Adge monster.
I think I'm not sure. I mean, it was one of those first. I remember when we first looked at like some of the first tournaments. I think Tomb Kings won one of them, and we were really surprised then. And we were just like, "Well, what was it about the roster?" And I can't remember if they had Chaney on that one.
No, it was just it was a 3 Tomb Guardian build with Mighty Blow on those guys. I think it was nothing special. The team just rocked up as a 1.1 Tomb King team,
right? Okay,
and just outplayed. But now,
yeah, I mean, it's a good team. I mean, when you got the strength 5, it's And when like we said with the passing, you don't want to do it anyway. You take is it sure hands guy even with Edge 4+, and
Yeah,
go
75%
to
pick
town.
up. You're good to go.
Yeah,
The only thing that consistently beats Doom Kings is rain. And
right.
most tournaments don't allow the Weather Mage to be an inducement,
Okay,
which is a bit
makes
of a
sense.
shame. I actually think that could be quite fun. In a meta where we're seeing some of the lower edge teams do better, it might be quite fun to be like Wood Elves with Weather Mage. I'm fine with the 3+. How's that 5+ working out for you?
Yeah.
I think that's quite clever. So a real tight pack there, and then we go to the top 4. Well, I can remember which tab I'm on. Here we go. Right, top 4 power rankings for the entire year of Blood Bowl. I've lost it. Here we go. Okay, there will be no surprises. Underworld number 1, 62%, which has dropped from 65, which is fantastic. And this was basically before the newer changes coming, but we'll definitely talk about those in a second. High Elves, second place, 58%. 350 games though, so barely none. Chaos Dwarves at number 3, 900 games, 55%, and Pure Dwarves, fourth place, 1300 games and 54%. That's a really interesting top 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got just two raw. Well, actually, Underworld's more of a mix of edge and strength. But you got like then High Elves and then right like 180 Dwarf and Chaos Dwarf, like two completely opposite teams. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the top 5 for a while was the 5th place was Amazons by like 1%. So I think Amazons were like 53% or something. So it kind of made sense because Underworld, you're right, they're not all dash, but they are dodge everywhere. Okay, so the Chaos Dwarf and the Dwarf tackle advantage was farming wins on Underworld. Snotlings are hot, so the stunty teams to get punished by it. Amazons, who are like the 5th best team, got punished by it. That kind of integral tackle just gave such a good boost to Dwarves and Chaos Dwarves. And then High Elves are there just like laughing at the meta because they don't. Halflings are just not playing a game. They are just literally just being High Elves and playing Blood Bowl, right? They're not like, we're not going to be dash, we're not going to leverage tackle, we're not going to leverage dodge, we're just going to be expensive players and just play Blood Bowl the way we used to play Blood Bowl.
I love that.
I thought you'd like this because you've been probably the biggest proponent of High Elves in our group, I think.
Yeah, so it was the first team I probably ran in the league. Really enjoyed them. It's a fun team to play.
Shame in your goblins there, Ben.
Properly ran. Goblins, I never gave a chance.
Probably competitively run. Yeah, I like that. Right, so, I mean, what do you think about the fact that there's only been 350 games played with High Elves?
I think that's actually pretty good considering the team. You know, it's like it's a team of legend. They've not really got like models. Yeah, you could just use an Elven Union team. It's the same thing really. But yeah, I think that's actually not that bad.
And I guess we'll go with the High Elf follow-up question first. Games Workshop recently adjusted their tier from tier 2 to tier 1. How much do you think that's going to affect their win percentage? And does it mean that Games Workshop are bringing the team back next?
I don't think the latter would happen. Like I think it might happen. I don't think it's going to happen soon. Can't see them doing it for some reason. I don't know why. But I just don't really know why. I just don't see it. There's no logic there. Just don't see it.
I was going to say, I'm convinced by your argument.
Yeah, I think there's other things they do before High Elves, and I think I just don't think the tier 1 thing is indicative of it. I think that's just them trying to balance the game.
Yeah.
But that being said, I also, to answer the first question, don't think it's going to do much to High Elves. The skills you want to take on them tend to be primary anyway. I don't think you benefit much from a secondary on High Elves. Likewise, they don't need access to like stars or anything like that. So even if you have tiers where you get different price values, I don't know if that will make too much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like the budge from tier 2 to tier 1, they're gonna lose up to 50k of stuff in
Which is
most
a reroll for them.
formats. Yeah, it's a reroll. It's a reroll. It's a skill, maybe two skills. It's I think in most formats they are going to lose out on probably about 30k. Oh no, prices are different now as skills. Yeah, it's going to be about 50k. So yeah, they're going to be one reroll less, like two skills less, something like that. But you're right. I mean, high elves, they don't need a lot of skills. They'll take them and they'll just put dodge on anybody, and it just makes them better because that's all they want. Because they come with, if you can afford a catcher, the catcher starts with catch and dodge, I think, and that's it.
I don't think they have.
Do they not have dodge?
I don't think they have dodge, actually. I don't think they do. I think it's just catch.
There you go. So they need a couple of dodges. So basically, in a 4 skill set, high elves going to take 4 lots of dodge, probably 2 on their blitzers to make them blodgers, and 2 on their catchers if they can afford 2 catchers. So it might be leader on the thrower, dodge, dodge, dodge. Like that's 4 skills, and they're all primary. Anything more than that, and you kind of, because you can't often afford a lot of positionals that you skills from a constructed point of view tend to go on the players that already have skills. So
yeah,
on high elves, you're only going to have 3 or 4, maybe 5 if you're lucky, players that actually positionals. So your 5th skill is going to be kick or dodge on a lineman, like maybe wrestle, and that's something that most of the time you can do without, and it's not going to hurt you too bad.
Yeah, really.
I do love that dwarves and chaos dwarves. It's just a huge amount of games. Like it's really impressive to see. And
yeah, people love their dwarves.
That's it. And I love that we've got 2 teams of legend in the top 4. And that's, come on, Games Workshop. Let's get these teams released. Let's get more accessibility, because there is definitely an underlying argument that those teams that are harder to get hold of are potentially being played by more experienced coaches. So,
yeah, that is a good point, actually. Less newcomers, which, yeah.
And if you look at the amount of games played with these teams, I mean, the top 10 teams, dwarves 1300, humans 1200, shambling undead 1200, underworld 1100, orcs, lizards, black orcs 1100, halflings and necro about 1000, 950, and then chaos dwarves and Norse at 10 and 900 apiece. Scave and Dark Elf Chaos chosen 900, 800. Tomb Kings at 700.
I'm surprised in the ability, though. You'd think they'd be more. But they're on, what, 550 games?
Yeah.
That's really surprising as an out-of-the-box starter team.
Yeah, they've got less games being played with the ability than you do with Amazons.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's because out of the box, the Black Orcs might be more tempting.
They are certainly more interesting, I think. Like, even me, I love my nobility, but those Black Orc models are really fun.
And that might be it. So Black Orcs, they're the 7th most popular team. 8th being Halflings, 9th being Necro. Underworld being 4th, Dwarf being 1st, Human being 2nd, Undead being 3rd. I mean, Ben, if you look at this top 10 looks more like how we expected that top 10 to work out. Dwarves, humans, undead, orcs, lizards, necro. They're all teams that historically are kind of top 15.
Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe that's why, because these are the teams that people are familiar with. They might have them painted up as the tournament team from aeons past.
That's it.
And rock up to the new meta with all their old teams, and it's just like, oh, what's Brawler? You have Brawler and things like that.
Accessibility bias, I think, is definitely a thing. Which means that Slan are now the most hipster team in Blood Bowl. So if you want to rock up to a tournament and really differentiate yourself, rocking up with Slan while they're legal is definitely the way to do it.
Or High Elf, only 2 behind that, and you can also win. So
yeah, that's very, very true. Okay, we'll do a quick recap of the power rankings. Number 1, Underworld. Number 2, High Elves. 3, Chaos Dwarf. 4, Dwarves. 5, Undead. 6, Tomb Kings. 7, Amazons. 8, Renegades. 9, Wood Elves. 10, Necromantic. The winners on there, Ben, got to be Tomb Kings and Renegades.
Yeah, for sure.
A solid 10 places higher than I would have expected them to be. I think those might be my biggest winners in the top 10. Let's go to slide 2. Norse at 11, 12 Underworld, 13 Slan, Orcs at 14, 15 Dark Elves, 16 Lizards, 17 Ogres, 18 Nobility, 19 Halflings, and 20 Skaven. Ogres represented Stunty pretty well there at 49% win rate. Skaven way lower than expected. Definitely would have put them in top 10. And them landing at 20, certainly not what I was hoping for, but I don't know. I think what would be appropriate is if we put the stats for Skaven and Underworld together and just called them even, and just kind of
rat teams, rat pack.
That's it. Like there are definitely some Skaven coaches out there that are running Renegades, running Underworld in this format because they're just way more interesting. Like they're just way more interesting. Now, how it plays out with the new rules, I don't know. 21 Demons of Khorne, 22 Snotlings, 23 Nurgle, 24 Vampires, 25 Humans, Chaos Chosen at 26, Old World Alliance 27, Black Orcs at 28, and Goblins at 29. Humans, biggest surprise there at 25.
Yeah, for sure.
Black Orcs, I would have expected them.
Black Orcs and both Chaos Chosen, I'd always put higher than that.
I would always have put them above Nurgle and Vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
And OWA. Yeah. OWA. So maybe we'll see some adjustments there with OWA landing soon. And I guess there's a couple of questions there before we do wrap up, Ben. Old World Alliance getting a bit of a buff with the adjustment to tier. 350 games, not a very popular team. Who's gonna get the biggest adjustment in this ranking? Okay, we've got the Underworld rules changes. We've got the tier changes for Underworld and High Elves, with Humans, Orcs, and OWA getting a tier boost. On this list, who's going to be the biggest move, you reckon, in the next few months?
I think maybe Orcs. And I'm going to say this, like, I feel like Orcs having access to a double, which you don't often get at tier 1, does help them out a lot. Like, that gets you like a block troll, which is really good. You could put something interesting on the goblin, perhaps, or do the blitzers get agility access? Can you get a dodge on them with a secondary?
Yeah, it would be a secondary. So yeah, you could have a blodging blitzer and a blodging black or big unblocker. That's always been a pretty solid thing. I mean, Orcs. Do you know what? 1,100 games. That's top 10 teams played. They're in the top half of it at 50%. They don't really need a buff, but this might get them in the top 10, Ben.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I think you're about right with that one. Where are Orcs? Yeah, Orcs were the 5th most placed team. Human, the 2nd most. Now, I get the human buff. They're the 2nd most played team, but they're 46% win rate. Like, yeah, all right. Like, let's get that win rate up a bit. I don't think it's going to boost them up by much. Maybe a couple of percent.
I don't think they benefit from the same way that an Orc team would.
I mean, Skaven. Are we at the point where Skaven deserve to be tier 2?
I don't think that. I don't think so.
That was me pushing it a bit. That was me definitely pushing it a bit.
Yeah.
But they're winning less than Halflings. But I think we can safely say that Halflings and Ogres are absolutely benefiting from Griff. Halflings, it's barely a team when it comes to constructed Blood Bowl. It is just kind of like they are the bread, and the meat is whatever star player you're having. If I go home and have a tuna sandwich, it doesn't really matter if I'm having wholemeal bread, a baguette, and bread, like because it's the tuna I'm there for. Whereas other teams definitely are kind of like, I'm having a curry. What meat are you having? Whereas Halflings, it's more the other way around. Are you having a meat sandwich / wrap? But the Halflings are the wrap because they are there to be 600k of your 1200k roster, and that's actually great. Like, the Halflings are brilliant fun, and Ogres give you a slightly different angle. I think they've done a good job with those 3 stunty teams. Goblins are suffering at the moment, but Ben, we said it earlier, like if you're a goblin coach, you're not really there to win, you're there to cause carnage. You've watched The Dark Knight and you're like, Heath Ledger is the love of my life, let's go be him at a Blood Bowl tournament. Please don't blow up things, but the maniacal laughter is always welcome. I like it. I really like the way this is shaping out, because even though Skaven are 20th, 48%, I mean, that is a close pool of resources. I mean, what do we have? Chaos Dwarves through Old World Alliance, that's 3rd place down to 27th place, with the 10%, with High Elves at 58 and Underworld at 62, both of those having tier adjustments. Black Orcs and Goblins sitting just outside that 45%. You know, that's all right. That's what, man. I'm done with numbers today, which is a very strange thing for me to say. It's 25 teams within 10% of each other. That's still not bad. And we're looking at this roster and we're going, I'm surprised they're not higher. I'm surprised they're not higher. It's because, you know what? You line up a Skaven team who is 20th against a Tomb King team or a Wood Elf team. I'd give them even odds.
Yeah, that's the thing with Blood Bowl, isn't it? That's the thing with all of this. The games inherently are imbalanced, so to have these numbers be so close is actually pretty good. And I mean, you just said it there. It's like it's entirely like you can't call it in this kind of game.
No,
there's not really any matchups where it's just like this team will win. That doesn't really exist.
And we've seen that for the Bonehead Championship, where there's been a load of people. But there's a load of people like making some great predictions, but there's just a ton of games and a ton of matchups where you're like, I don't really know here. Like Snotlings versus Snotlings versus Imperial or Black Orcs. You're just like, there's not a gimme here, and I like that. I think it's awesome, and it's great to see this as well. Anything else from the stats you want to look at, Ben, or talk about before we wrap up for the day?
I think we covered that pretty in depth.
Yeah, sorry, there was a data set, and it's very cool to see this. And I don't know, man. I'm interested to see where Khorne land. I'm interested to see where this tier adjustments take us. Yeah. I don't think they're going to have a massive impact, but if it just pulls it a little bit closer together, fantastic. Because I don't think there's an auto pick. There's no net list. I think net decking Underworld is probably as close as you can get at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
With swarming, Hack Flem's increase, and the tier adjustment, let's see if we can get that down to 58% win rate. Come on, High Elves to take the first spot. Which would be really sweet. Anyway, we are going to call that a show. Just want to do a big shout out, a big thank you to all of you guys out there who like, subscribe, support us, pick up our merch. We got a very cool year lined up for the podcast. We're going to be doing some cool stuff, running some very cool events, and hopefully filming some cool shows. Let's wait and see how busy the next month is going to be from a disease point of view. Hopefully it won't stop us and we can get back to making and playing some Blood Bowl. And a huge thank you to our patrons. We had some a bunch of new folks join. Blaine McElroy, Kevin Kowalenko, Dominic Stowe, Mike Yap, Dane Gillespie, Frederick Petterson, Treborius, Nicholas Bouvier, Paul Carter, Max Philip Schrader, Ben Goddard, Simon Malpass. Thank you all very much for joining us, and thank you to all of you who support the show one way or another. We massively appreciate it, and I think just go and have a really great Christmas, and enjoy the rest of your Christmas day. Do let us know what you think about the power rankings. I'm surprised. It's fun to go through. And yeah, have a great Christmas, and hopefully we'll see you at Beachhead. BT, Merry Christmas, dude.
Merry Christmas to you.
And yeah, right. I'm gonna go to bed because it's been a week. I just have to survive tomorrow. I cannot wait. I am just gonna walk out of that branch tomorrow about 2 hours
Enjoy
before
that
Diff
wine.
does, and yeah, literally go straight for a bottle of red. Try and hurriedly wrap Tiff's presents before she comes home. Got some cool presents for her this year. I don't think any of them are. She's bought me a board game for us both to play, and that's fine. Like I'm on board with that. But I think all of her gifts are stuff I think she'll enjoy. And we both we've got each other Pokemon. Nice. So that's probably going to be Boxing Day, just hungover playing Pokemon. But, I think that's pretty solid.
I like that.
Yeah. So guys, if you're listening to this on the day of Christmas while you're building your gear, I will be getting lost on the Pokemon map like I always do. So yeah, thank you very much. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for the Boney Awards. So we'll put a couple of posts out and get your input on that one. That's always a fun one to do. We'll see if we can get Mr. Warhammer on again. But for now, we will bid you adieu. Very Merry Christmas and happy blocking, guys.
All the best 2022. Hurrah.
Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.
Last take. Let's do this again. One more time. As Daft Punk says. Can't remember now. Literally done it twice. Oh, it's going to be one of those. I hope it's not one of those episodes. Right, here we go. Let's do this. What conquest are you working on?
I've primed a few of the militia. I want to try and just work out a scheme for them.
Those the human dudes?
Yeah, like the regular peasant soldier kind of looking dudes.
They've released some more stuff for the Spire this week.
I think they did, yeah.
Some weird centaur people. Like Facebook keeps trying to get me to buy it.
Yeah, it does that, doesn't it? They go ham on their hands.
Yeah, and it is going to work at some point.
As they Play on Tabletop did a really good video on it recently. Today, I think.
Really?
2 days ago. Yeah, really freaking good battle report. And it's just like, God, this is like top tier video.
I'm always up for making more content.
Yeah, man. Have to get 2 old 54 mil armies painted up. Not a problem.
Can I print one? Actually, they've done a really good job of making it. So you know how you can get like, what is it, rules agnostic?
Yeah.
They've done a very good job, I feel like, of locking this one down.
Oh, what? Parabellum?
Yeah, like tying it to the IP so that you can't just print an army for it.
Kind of know what you mean. Like, spires are like super unique.
I guess the humans are pretty.
Outside of that, yeah, the humans are pretty generic.
And then you've got the
I've printed out proxy heroes. So.
That's true. That is true. And you got the dinosaur savage orcs.
Yeah, that's true. That's quite unique. Even the Dwegum, like they're not really dwarves.
No.
Like,
no.
They're big.
It's difficult because, like, I often think generic fantasy is more accessible. So one of the things that kind of puts me off Conquest is that apart from the humans, it's very difficult to kind of relate to any of the other forces.
Yeah.
I guess
I know what you mean.
It's always difficult when you start a new IP, isn't it?
Yeah, like the lore around it is actually pretty in depth. They've got quite a lot going on it, but it's just replacing or making room for that in your brain. That you know,
in the IP
like
space,
push aside all like the D&D and the Warhammer and try and squeeze this conquest stuff in.
The fact that
Difficult.
D&D doesn't have a miniature war game or Pathfinder.
It must do. It must do.
I think they
there
used to.
must be one though.
They used to have one called Chainmail, but not like you can't go and have a D&D battle. You have to have an RPG, which is obviously the whole point of D&D. But
To be fair, I've seen like custom modules to simulate battles within D&D, but it's not really the same. It's not like a war game. It's like that's about control. Like, you know, there's a battle going on, and your party are kind of like move through it and stuff like that.
yeah, I guess that's how the good stories do it, I suppose, like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Shall we Beachhead, sir? Okay. Let's rock and roll. I realise this is not the most recent up-to-date version because we had to adjust it. One teeny tiny thing. That's fine. We can talk it through.
Oh, do you have a copy of that?
Yeah, 2 secs. F6. Control C. F11. Into the Discord. I think that's just the straight up PDF. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, good.
Okay.